And we're back. Hey, before we get into the next part here, thanks for listening. And don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button. Leave a 5-star rating and review. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. All right, let's get back into this. College football coaches have spoken and they are all in on a 24 team playoff. A lot of people out there are acting like this is the end of college football and everything is terrible and everything we once knew. College football is over. It's just like the NFL. But let me say, the national media has got you convinced it's going to kill the sport that you love. In this video, I'm showing you exactly why that is a big, fat lie, because our goal here at the Big Ten Huddle isn't just to get you to believe, false narratives like some other people do. We give you, not like marching orders like other people want to give you on X or anything like that. It's to give you the real truth and examine it from all angles. So that is what we're going to do in this segment. So the American Football Coaches Association, the AFCA, you've probably seen it referenced by now, voted last week and came out swinging. They want the college football playoff expanded to maximum number of teams, which everyone knows means 24. I mean, there have been talks of 32, but we can all pretty well, attribute that to be 24. They also want to kill conference championship games as we know them and wrap the whole season by the second week of January. I think a lot of people can get on board with the wrapping it up a little bit sooner type of part there. The Big Ten's been leading this charge, and now coaches from across the country are piling on. But here's the wild part. The Athletic did a survey and found that 91% of fans do not support the 24-team playoff structure. But all of this is misguided because the way the 24-team playoff is being sold is not entirely true. And you can thank the media for that. Seeds 9 through 24 would essentially be play-in games instead of the conference championship games, something fans should be in favor of, as the conference championship games has not been equal or fair at all. And you might be saying, well, of course they've been fair, JR. They're the ones that played it all. Not in that way. Alabama last year was the only loser in a conference championship game to not fall in the college football playoff rankings after losing. The only one. We really want to live in a world where SEC bias runs rampant and it never gets checked. We never checked the SEC bias when they made it in over Florida State. Everybody just went along with it. Now we're not going to check the SEC bias when a 3-loss team, when you're all saying we don't want a 4-loss team in. No, this doesn't mean anything, right? Like, I would much rather watch games that would likely be bowl matchups with everyone playing instead of watching USC play TCU with a dozen opt-outs. According to Big Ten fans in the survey, the most popular choice was the 16-team playoff, but 24 seemed like too many. Of course, this is how the national media frames things. A 24-team playoff with 8 buys? Really? Like that's what we're going to label this as? No one actually thinks that is legit framing if they actually look into stuff. Yes, you can see it from what the media says, but if you actually look into how it'd be structured, nobody actually believes that framing. We have to be smarter than this, than just running with whatever the media feeds us. The play-in games would take control away from the committee and make teams earn their spots. Here are my objections to many of the most popular hesitations to the national media and fans have to the 2014 playoff that obviously a lot of people have here based on my my graphic I put together. If you can't see, that's the 2014 playoff there. Anyway, the biggest one, and honestly the most misguided one, is the national media keeps yelling that every game won't matter anymore, like the sport is suddenly going to turn into some participation trophy thing. Think about it. Really, the regular season is a marathon, not a sprint for the front of the pack, for 6 or 7 blue bloods. Right now, it feels like only the top dogs get to run the last mile. Not exactly that way, but in the past, it's definitely felt that way. And some other teams get to run as well. A 24-team field doesn't water that down. It actually lets more runners stay in the race longer. So it's not just between a few guys, but it's actually against many more guys or gals, whatever you want to call it. We're talking about a marathon here. I'm tired of the college football media's constant doomsday attitude toward every single change. Welcome to college football. The sport has been messy and always undergone incredible change ever since the beginning of it. Honestly, that's one of the biggest traditions. It's probably the most long-standing tradition of the sport. is change, right? But of course, today, every time something evolves or changes, you're talking realignment, NIL, the transfer portal, the 12-team playoff, they act like it's the end of the sport. Yet every one of these changes has only expanded the sport's popularity and kept more fans engaged longer. The regular season is as strong as it has ever been because there are more teams with more high stake matchups and more fans that still do care about if their teams win or loses. High stake games still feel massive because college football fans are wild and hate losing. All this hand wringing is overstated and premature. The game is messy and commercialized, sure, but the core product of the game, those regular season dramas, is surviving the upheaval way better than Doomsday's claim. The only real threat comes from greedy future tweaks trying to hog everything, not from giving more teams a fair shot. Remember, with the 14 playoff launched, you heard the same cries. Oh, regular season. Oh, we didn't get enough. 12-team playoff, same cries. Oh, regular season. Oh, didn't get enough. The regular season was not outright diluted for either structure. The importance has just changed. Instead of a race at the end of 6 or 7 teams, it grew to 12 to 15 teams for the 12-team playoff. Many were upset with me when I said that a team outside of the top 15 in Michigan was not guaranteed a spot if they beat Ohio State at the end of the season. A team that won a national championship 2 years ago would have finished 10-2, was not guaranteed a playoff spot. Right? That still makes the regular season incredibly important. Only 18% of FBS teams would make the CFP in a 24-team format, while 19% in college basketball, and you get anywhere from 40 to 50% in most major professional sports leagues. So how would the regular season stay important? Because like how the regular season found new importance with teams like Tennessee and Penn State and Oklahoma and more, with the 12-team playoff, it'll find greater importance for more teams again, like Iowa, Washington, Vanderbilt, teams like that in November. And really, that's what the national media hates more than anything, is they don't want to have to cover more teams in November. They want to focus in on 5, 6, 17, but they can't do that. The second complaint out there is that it would be a bloated and complicated format. The 12-team playoffs seemed bloated too, but in reality, it exposed the incredible lack of knowledge the committee had. Only one of the top 4 teams in the college football playoffs has won a game since it expanded to 12. The 24-team playoff would replace conference championship games, which are meaningless if we're being honest about it. Like, yeah, you win your conference, but outside of that, they're meaningless, all right? With opportunities for teams to prove they belong and take the assumption out of the hands of the committee, who has proven they do not do a very good job. Every year we have teams complain that they did not get in. Alabama, Notre Dame, South Carolina, all these teams. With the 24-team playoff model, those teams get a chance to prove they belong in there. And other games where they might not have as many questions, we still get to see good football matchups without players opting out. It seems asinine to me that people would rather watch USC and TCU with opt-outs play instead of Arizona versus USC, a playing game matchup that we would have saw last year. Are the buys confusing? Sure, of course they're confusing. It does make it a little bit tough for people when you're saying 24-team playoff when it's really just playing game. Sure, but that's mostly because the media you consume fails to present things in a straightforward, easy to understand way, because news is more about entertainment now than actual explaining information. The third complaint out there is early round mismatches. The only consistent mismatch in the CFP since it has expanded are the G6 or G5 matchups back in the day. The 2014 playoff would only give us one of those, and the rest would be games that we would see in bowls anyway. Critics love pointing to blowouts as proof that the field is too big, but blowouts have been a staple of every playoff era. Since 2014 to 2023, the average margin in semifinals was 17.9 points. The first round of the 12-team playoff was 19.3 points. It's not the size of the field, it's the matchups. And that was with 2 G6 teams making it last season, right? Think of it like handing a bunch of underdogs the same rocket boosters the Blue Bloods have always had. Suddenly, Vanderbilt or Iowa can reload fast through the portal and punch above their weight. The bye disadvantage proves it Two, in the first 2 years of the 12-team model, teams with buys, like I said earlier, went 1-7. The rested favorites get rusty while the hungry lower seeds have momentum. Larger fields mean more chances for the underdog to prove it on the field instead of the committee playing favorites with brands. Fourth complaint, scheduling and TV nightmares for people. The biggest counter argument to this is that the 12 teams would fix the long layoff that currently exists between the regular season and the playoffs. Proponents suggest the 2014 playoffs start the second weekend in December, immediately after the regular season is over, solving the rest versus rest kind of issue a little bit more that a lot of people have said that they have. The fear of losing the $250 million, give or take, generated by conference championship games would be fixed by a 2014 playoff, which would add 12 additional games and could more than offset this loss. Revenue estimates from College Football Playoff Consultant Project an additional $300 to $700 million. Additionally, on-campus first rounds for the top 16 seeds would be an economic engine for college towns. Better viewing experience and tickets regular fans can actually afford. TV inventory would explode. More networks bidding means better slots, but not fewer, right? Even midweek or Friday games pull huge numbers, and the national title game goes back to its traditional Monday in January instead of creeping into late January. Look, the FCS has run a 2014 playoff for years, and it's worked out for them. Now, I know we're not the FCS, but it's obvious it can work out, and you can put it together the right way. The fifth complaint is money-driven decision-making. Oftentimes, revenue is a symptom of a better product. Not always, but oftentimes. If the format is exciting, the money will follow, and the money serves everyone. If you don't like changes, then don't watch. But I can almost guarantee all of you will still watch, and even watch more games, because there will be more stakes. Plus, more games mean more NIL cash for players, more gate revenue on campus, and more fan bases staying engaged until the very end. And honestly, you pay the players more, you're able to do that, you're going to get better athletes coming to college football. Not that they really have a chance going anywhere else, but still, like, you're going to have more kids wanting to play football because the money is there. It ends the exclusion where the committee decides based on logos instead of play on the field. The 2014 playoff shift takes us from brands to actual results. And stop hating on 8-4 teams and start hating on the committee that can't rank teams straight. We act like every game matters, and it should, but in reality, no one can watch every single college football game every week with an evaluation eye. If we're being honest, like, that's just how it is. Not even us diehards who watch more than the committee does is able to do that. The committee and the media have been letting assumptions based on brands, big names, and narratives decide everything for too long. These play-in games would change that. So a 24-team playoff, is it going to kill college football? No, not at all. But the national media scare tactics might just ruin it for you themselves. I get it. 24 teams seems like a lot. We advanced so far. We went from the AP choosing it to 2 teams in the BCS to 4 teams to 12 teams, and now we're likely heading to 24 teams. It's a lot of change really fast. But like I said, that's been the sport. Change has been a fundamental tradition in college football since its inception in 1869. Many will have you believe the regular season is a tradition. And while it is traditional, yes, for some time now, but it's actually been long-standing rituals, school chants, iconic entrances, intense rivalries, the feeling of getting back on your campus where you graduated from to watch a football game, to have those memories. It has survived the grown specialty of evolving its rules, its governance, the postseason structure. If you're a Big Ten fan, tired of the same old narratives out there, smash that like button, subscribe for more unfiltered takes, not just going with what the national media says, but giving you my actual thoughts and opinions, not just trying to agree with people. I would love to hear your thoughts. I read every single comment. Next up, I'm breaking down the Michigan and Duke Amazon deal. While yes, the Big Ten got beat by ESPN here, there's no doubt, it actually could be some great news for us in football and basketball.